Hey, good morning. Michael DDA here. Thank you for joining me. We are going through a journey in Torah. Thank you for joining us. Oh, we have such interesting things to see today. You know, we're going to talk about Jacob and Esau, the firstborn man and the secondborn man. There's an image there, a shadow picture there, that if we will begin to understand it, it's going to help us. That's where we're going to start this morning, but let me just do a very short review. We talked last week about Keturah. We talked about the B'nai of the concubine. Oh my gosh! You know, I don't think people understand how unusual that is unless they follow the Torah. They see the sons. No, they call them the children of Keturah. There it is, verse 4. The children of Keturah. It's really the B'nai. Keturah's B'nai is what it says. Keturah's B'nai. And unless you understand that when we talk about B'nai, it's always a man. Esau's B'nai, Heth's B'nai, Abraham's B'nai, Adam's B'nai, Israel's B'nai. Or really, all that is B'nai Israel, B'nai Heth. To see B'nai Keturah, wow, we have to really think about what is going on here. And you know what? These B'nai Keturah are very carefully not being said as Abram's seed or Abram's sons. Look at, here it is in verse 6. And Abraham gave gifts to the concubine's sons. The concubine's sons. Who are the concubines? Hagar and Keturah. Both came from the servant quarters. I always wonder about the origins of Keturah. Didn't talk about it last week very much. Didn't really even talk about it in my blog, even though my blog was about the wives and concubines. I put wives in quotes. Wives and concubines. Where did Keturah come from? Such she was a Canaanite. But was she a Canaanite whose father perhaps joined Abraham? And as part of his camp, when he became a servant of Abraham, she also became a servant of Abraham. That could be. Perhaps her father died. And Abraham took her under his wing, so to speak. Perhaps it was Avimelech who actually gave her to Abraham. That could be too. Although Avimelech, being a Philistine, probably wouldn't be a son of Canaan. There's so much that we have to get. Well, so we saw, look at that, verse 7 now. Here's Abraham dying. Well, in Torah, it looks like he died before the boys were born. He was 175 years old when he died. But, well, look, in the next verse after that, talks about Isaac and Ishmael. Oh, I wanted to also mention here, he gave gifts to the sons of the concubines, but let me finish the sentence. While he was still living, he sent them eastward away from Isaac, his son. Well, I guess it was the verse before that. Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. To Isaac. Okay, so now here's Isaac and Ishmael burying their dad in the cave at Machpelah, which is before Mamre, the field of Ephron the Hittite, the son of Zochar. There's the seed of Heth, the field which Abraham purchased from Hesed. There Abraham was buried and his woman. Well, now, look at, we give the genealogy of Ishmael, very short, just a few verses, and then Ishmael dies, and the sons are born. This is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son. There's Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, his wife. Okay, so now, Isaac was born when Abraham was 160. If Abraham is 160 when the boys are born, and he dies at 175, remember that was way up here. Abraham died 175, was buried in the cave at Machpelah. That means that he held those boys on his knees for 15 years, isn't it? Wow, interesting. But again, you won't see that if you don't understand and you don't follow the ages. If we don't know that Abraham was exactly 100 years older than Isaac, we miss those kinds of things. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah. Well, it wasn't. It was 20 years before she begat a son. Oh, and that is an interesting story. We're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about a lot of this today. This just says, and now Isaac pleaded with Yehovah for his woman because she was barren. And Yehovah granted his plea, and Rebekah, his woman, conceived. Well, we're going to see today there's a lot more to this story. But now look what it says, the next verse. But the sons, Banim, Habanim, the sons, struggled together with her. And she said, if all is well, why am I like this? Yeah, here's a mother that's concerned. So she went to inquire of Yehovah. How does a woman inquire of Yehovah? Does she get down on her knees? Pray at her bedside like I do every night? Does she go out into the wilderness and call out to Yehovah? Well, we're going to see today again how a woman does that. The answer she got was very, very interesting. Look at what it says. This is verse 23. It says, and Yehovah said to her, 2 goyim are in your womb. You know what? All men are goyim when they're born. What happens to them after they're born? That's what's important. We're all the seed of Adam, fashioned after his image and after his likeness, just like Seth was. And it's not until we turn to Yehovah, leave the kingdom of our birth, that we can become the new man, with the glory and the honor and the immortality that Yehovah created us to have. 2 goyim are in thy womb, is what it says. And look what it says now. And a nation. You remember I've been telling you about nation. They always translate goyim as nation. But here's something that actually says nation. One nation. Leum, and a nation from a nation. Hear that? 2 goyim are in thy womb, and a nation from a nation. What are they saying? They're comparing the 2 goyim. A nation coming from a nation, and a nation from a nation shall be stronger, and the elder shall serve the younger. Oh man, there's so much for us to see in this. You know, when I was born, was there 2 goyim? I guess there was only 1 goyim, really. But you know what? There was the potential for 2 nations. 1 nation or another nation. If I'm going to live in my flesh like I lived for most of my adult life, that would have been the flesh nation. But 9 years ago, the spiritual nation was born. And now the younger is going to lead the elder. That's what it says. The elder shall serve the younger. My spirit leads my flesh now. This is a shadow picture that I think is seen in Esau and Jacob. The man of the flesh, the man of the spirit. Oh, I so want you to understand we're talking about flesh. Esau is a man of the flesh. Despicable. Well, let's talk about him. Here he's going to be born. The first came out red, it says. And the first came out red. Red. You know what? I didn't have a note on that last week, and I wondered, why didn't I have a note on that? I had to go and create a note. I want you to see this word red. Here's the word right here. That's red. It's right down here. This is it right here, red. But look at what it comes from. Aleph, Dalet, Mem. Aleph, Dalet, Mem. What is Aleph, Dalet, Mem? It's Adam. Flesh. Look what it says. The color red actually comes from this word, dam. Dam. What does dam mean? It means blood. Adam. The color red. The color of blood. It means man. There it is, man. Here, look. Man. Man. It means ground. Adamah. It means red. Here's another form of red. It's Edom or Edom. That's the word we get for Edom. Red. We're talking about flesh. This man is a man of the flesh. Sounds like a good guy. Sounds like he was taken advantage of by Jacob as we read this story. Look at the very next verse. Oh, you guys, if you could just understand the deception that goes on with the translators, with the commentators. You know what? I don't know that it's always on purpose, though I wonder. Making the man of the flesh look like a good guy, skillful hunter, a man of the field, is what we talked about last week. But here's the birth of Jacob. Look what it says. Afterwards, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. Really, she bore them to him. Jacob. You know, I really like my eSword. When you click on the word Jacob, look down here. Can you see this? I don't think I can highlight it. It says Jacob with a little star. It tells me that now when I go to my dictionary, I can find all these things, every place where it says the information button, information, that little blue deal, it has information on Jacob. And Easton is probably my favorite to use. I really like Easton. But you know what? Even Easton screws it up. Look at what it says. It says, one who follows another's heel. Follows on another's heel. Supplanter. Does that sound like a good guy? My flesh man was supplanted by my spiritual man. Is that a bad thing? The second born of the twins of Isaac by Rebekah. He was probably born at it says Lakai Ra'oi. It's Ber Lakai Ra'oi. But I don't think he was born there. I think he was born in Beersheba. He went there later on. When his father was 59. What are they talking about, 59? It just says Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. Like his father, he was quiet and gentle disposition. Quiet, gentle, mild, like his father. See, this is what happens. And we read this and we swallow it like it's the truth. But we don't take a look at what it actually says. Look at quiet and gentle disposition. And when he grew up, followed the life of a shepherd. Well, his brother Esau became an enterprising hunter. An enterprising hunter. What a neat guy he must have been. Is that what we think? Oh, man. His dealings with Esau, talking about Jacob, however, showed much mean selfishness and cunning. Oh, man, can you believe this? Folks, do you hear what I'm telling you? This is what most people think because they don't stop to think about what is going on in the Word. They don't know that Esau is a wicked, deceitful, and cunning individual. They're calling Jacob selfish and cunning. Oh my God. Father, forgive them. Woe to you shepherds who destroy and scatter the sheep of my pastures. You've scattered my sheep, driven them away, and not attended to them. Behold, I will attend to you for the evil of your doings, Easton. All you other wicked teachers out there, leading people astray. So, yeah. Enterprising hunter. Verse 27. This is where we left off last week. We were talking about this. They call him a skillful hunter. Look at this. A skillful hunter, a man of the field, a man of the open country, an expert bowman, a skillful hunter, an outdoorsman, a man skilled in hunting, a man of the field, a skilled hunter. Oh my goodness. An enterprising, what do they call him? An enterprising hunter. And then, the second part of the verse, it says that Jacob was a mild man. So we're contrasting the skillful hunter with a mild man. The man of peace, a gentle man. Makes me sick. Tom is the word that they're using there for mild man. Peaceful man, plain man, gentle man. Baloney. This is whole man. One who is mature, upright, is one who is whole. Word study calls him integrity, completeness. And look what Yasher says. Oh my gosh, we're going to go through it today, but I want to read it to you now. And Isaac, the son of Abraham, was 60 years old when he begat them. And the boys grew up to their 15th year. And they came amongst the society of men. You know, when a man, a boy, is 15 years old, his character is pretty well solidified in him. What does it say? Esau was a designing and deceitful man, an expert hunter of the field. Okay, does that necessarily mean a good thing or a bad thing? Nimrod was described as a great hunter as well. And he was a man who rebelled against Jehovah and turned millions away from him. Now look what it says about Jacob. And Jacob was a perfect and wise man, dwelling in tents. This is where we left off last week. Jacob dwells in tents. He is perfect and wise, learning the instructions of Jehovah. You know what? Esau didn't have time. He didn't have the inclination to learn the instructions of Jehovah and get to know Jehovah. Tom. Jacob was a Tom man. Look at how Tom is translated in the other scriptures. Perfect, it says about Job. There was a man of the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was Tom, perfect and upright, Yasher. And one who feared Elohim and shunned evil. That's what the Tom man is like. Mark the Tom man and observe the upright. For the future of that man is peace. Here's another one. This is Psalms. The bloodthirsty hate the Tom, but the just seek his soul. Hear that? The just people seek the soul of the Tom man because they can learn from the Tom man. I want to be a Tom man. But now, look what I said here. Is it possible that the world wants men who say they are Jehovah's to be plain, mild, peaceful, gentle? And not like Jacob, who was complete, mature, whole, upright, a perfect man who shunned evil and feared Elohim? No, they want a compliant man, a peaceful man. Because they can control that kind of man. A man who fears Jehovah, who shuns evil, is not going to be able to be controlled by the world. Esau, a designing and deceitful man, That is what Esau is. A covetous man who seeks after power, control. He's a man of the flesh, a complete man of the flesh, and he's going to be a man of the flesh his entire life. I wrote about the perfect man in a blog I put together. You can find it at the bottom right-hand corner if you go to my browser. Go to my site with a computer rather than a handheld device. I don't think you'd be able to get to it very easily, except by search with a mobile device. But just do a search for Jacob, a perfect man. You'll get it. Now, we have to ask the question, why does it say tents and not tent? Jacob dwelled in tents. Dwelling in tents, it says. How many tents can a man dwell in? Why does it say tents? Ohalim. That's what it says. Ohalim. Tents. Ohel is tent. Dwelling in tents is what it said in Yasher, feeding flocks and learning the instructions of Yehovah. You know what? He's describing me. I dwell in tents. But see, we don't know what tents are, do we? Tents is the qualitative plural. Remember, we talk about the qualitative plural and the quantitative plural in the Hebrew. Hebrew's the only language that has it. The plural in all other languages is always quantitative. But in the Hebrew, it can be qualitative. Ooh, that set me free to understand when we're talking about Elohim. We're not talking about more than one Elohim. We're talking about the great, the exalted, the creator of heaven and earth. That Elohim. That's the qualitative Elohim. But we can also talk about Elohim when we talk about the lawmakers and the judges of this earth. Because we screw up in understanding what an Elohim is. We don't understand the qualitative versus the quantitative. We go for this Trinitarian doctrine, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Oh my goodness, the lies that we swallow in our ignorance. Jacob was dwelling under what I like to call the big top. The tent that Yehovah has spread over the earth. Look at this. Have you not heard? Have you not known? Has it not been told you from the beginning? Have you not understood the foundations of the earth? This is why we go through Torah, chapter by chapter, verse by verse. In the beginning, Elohim, Spirit, Elohim, created the heavens and the earth. Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is He who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. This is the tent that Jacob dwelt in. This is the tent that Isaac dwelt in. This is the tent that Abraham dwelt in. dwelling in these countries as in a strange nation. It says in Hebrews. This is what we're talking about. And if they recall to mind the country from which they left, they might have returned. But they desired a better country. That is a heavenly country under the big top. Jacob dwelt under the big top. Oh, puts chills down my arms. I dwell under the big top. Have for almost 15 years. No, more than 15 years. You, men, can dwell under the big top. Well, again, dwelt in heaven. Jacob dwelt in heaven. Look that up on my site. Do a search. The search engine is in the upper right-hand corner for my blog. See a little magnifying glass. Just type in Jacob dwelt in heaven. Listen to what I have to say about this qualitative versus quantitative plural. Give you some other examples. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate his game. Yeah, look at this. Isaac loved Esau for the flesh, which he brought to him. You know what? Was Isaac somewhat addled in his old age? He's not even old here. He's in his 60s, maybe 75. Remember, the boys are 15 when they came into the society of men. 15 years old. Esau is going to sell his birthright when he's 16 years old. Isaac loved Esau. I guess you love your son. But you know what? I love a son that will learn to follow me as I follow Yehovah. I want a son who's getting to know Yehovah, who's learning his statutes, his judgments, and his ordinances. Not a man of the flesh, a son of the flesh. I didn't encourage my children, boys or girls, to get a college education, to do any of that kind of stuff. It's not important. It has no bearing on eternity. Is Isaac? Why would it say this about Isaac? For heaven's sakes, Isaac was going to give the blessing to Esau. In spite of the prophecy that came from Shem and Eber and Abraham when Rebekah sought Yehovah for the strife that was going on in her. We'll see it today. What's wrong with him? 29. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. Oh, that poor man. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please, Jacob, give me some of that," it says, red stew. Give me some of that ha-adam is what it says. For I'm weary. Therefore his name was called eat them. And Jacob said, sell me your birthright as of this day. Who's initiating this, supposedly? Esau or Jacob? Looks like Jacob, doesn't it? And Esau said, look, I'm about to die. So what is this birthright to me? Is he about to die? What's going on here? Is there more that we don't understand? Is Jacob this mean guy? Remember, I said their personalities are settled by the time they're 15. Here he's 16. Do you think Jacob doesn't know what Esau's like and Esau doesn't know what Jacob's like? Do you think Jacob doesn't understand or Esau doesn't understand what a birthright is? Oh my, we have so much more to learn. We peruse through these verses. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, I'm finished with chapter 25. Didn't think about it. Don't know what it means. Don't know the implications. But I finished it in the English. Didn't learn a thing of any consequence. Probably learned some things that you shouldn't have learned. Well, few understand that when Jacob cooked this stew and Esau came in from the field, there's that field again, that he had just killed Nimrod. Did you hear that? Esau, when he came in from the field asking for this stew, had just killed Nimrod. He had coveted his authority, his power, his world domination. And now he thinks he's gotten it. What is the birthright to me? What is the Bekorah to me? Ooh, interesting word. We'll talk about that in a moment. But relatively few people have ever heard that Esau killed Nimrod and then despised his birthright. We are going to see today that Esau, like Nimrod, had a desire to rule the world. He saw his father, powerful man in Canaan, wiped out. No, his grandfather even wiped out 800,000 men who came down from the north, including Nimrod and his forces. Didn't kill Nimrod, the kings got away, but killed 800,000 of their men. Nimrod, Chedorlaomer, Tidal, and Arioch got away. All their men were killed. What would an extra portion over his brother matter to Esau in light of world domination? See, this is where we're going, and this is what we've got to understand what's happened. I put again, the book of Yasher provides us with the rest of the story. Here it is. Esau killed Nimrod. Nimrod had a dream. This was back when Abram was still there. This is 2 years after the fiery furnace. Remember, Abram knocked down Chedorlaomer's, his father's idols. Remember, his father was the host. What was his name? Terah was the host of Nimrod's armies. Complained to Nimrod. Nimrod, through Abraham and also through circumstances, and not what Terah wanted at all, through Haran, his oldest brother, by about 32 years, into the fiery furnace with him. Abraham came out. Haran died. He married Sarai. And Nahor married Milcah. Lot, 1 year older than Nimrod, than Abram, went with them, Terah, when they took him to Haran. Built that city, named it after his eldest son. But 2 years after the fire furnace, Nimrod has a dream. I think this is the dream right here. And in fact, Abraham's seed, Nimrod had a dream that he would be killed by one of Abraham's seed. Well, here is, I don't have the dream. We'll read about it today. We'll probably get to it. Here it is, Yasher 27. This is what I wanted to see. And on a certain day, Esau went to the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men. You know what? Nimrod was 800 miles north from where Isaac dwelt. Remember, Isaac's in Be'er Sheva. They had to, either Nimrod had to come way south, or Esau had to go way north. Okay, keep that in mind. We're talking about Reshach. Reshach. We're talking about premeditated murder. That's what Esau is going to perform right here. And on a certain day, Esau went to the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men, and all his mighty men, his people, were with him in the wilderness. But they removed at a distance from him, and they went from him in a different direction to hunt. And Esau concealed himself from Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness. And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field in the cool of the day, and to know where men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod, this was Nimrod. Nimrod was a man of the field, a mighty hunter, a Gabor hunter. And Nimrod and 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Esau startled suddenly from his lurking place and drew his sword and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head. And Esau fought a desperate fight with the 2 men that were with Nimrod. And when they called out to him, Esau turned to them and smote them to death, to moot, with his sword. And then Esau despised his birthright. Well, those are my words, not Yasher's words. Esau was so weary when he came in from the field. Remember, he's traveled a long ways. He's killed a man. He's killed men. But he also did something else that we're not aware of. And this is the reason why he killed Nimrod. Look what it says. And Esau took those garments, talking about the garments that belonged to Adam and Eve, who were given, Hava, who were given to Nimrod by Cush, his father, after Ham, his father, or maybe even his grandfather, I think it was a grandfather, stole them from Noah after he came off the ark. These were garments that were passed down to Enoch and Methuselah, to Noah, and then Ham stole them, gave them to Cush. I think it was Cush, his son of his old age. And Cush gave him to Nimrod. And that's when he began to be a mighty hunter on the earth. But now, Esau killed Nimrod, and look what it says. And Esau took those garments and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's men. And he came unto his father's house, wearied and exhausted from the fight. Makes it sound like they're right next door. And he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him. This is the context of what is going on when he sells his birthright. Despises, that's what it says, despises his birthright, spoils his birthright. And he said to his brother, behold, I shall die this day, and wherefore do I want a birthright? Don't need it. I'm going to dominate the world. Don't you know? I've got the garments. He's not going to tell him that. And Jacob acted wisely. Hear that? Jacob acted wisely when his brother said this. Who brought up the birthright first? And he said to his brother Jacob, behold, I shall die this day. And wherefore then do I want the birthright? The Bikkurah. And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this matter. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was brought about by Yehovah. The birthright. What's the birthright all about? Remember, if a man has more than one son, they divide the goods equally. But the firstborn gets a double portion. He gets twice as much goods as the other. If there's 3, they're going to divide it 4 ways. And 2 parts are going to go to the firstborn. If there's 5, they're going to divide it 5 ways. And 2 parts are going to go to the firstborn. The firstborn is going to be the leader of the family, the head of the household. He's despising his birthright. It was brought about by Yehovah. And Esau's portion in the cave of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from Hesed for a possession, for a burial ground, Esau sold to Jacob. And Jacob bought all this from his brother Esau for value given. What was the value given? I got a hunch it was more than soup. But regardless, here's a man of the flesh trading things of the spirit. You know, isn't it interesting that he would talk about the cave of Machpelah, the burial place of Abraham and Sarah? That's what's important to Jacob. Not the gold, not the silver. Oh my goodness. Wait until you see when Isaac dies, how they divide up what Isaac has. Jacob's going to take the land and the cave, and he's going to give everything else to Esau, the man of the flesh. The servants, the gold, the silver, the cattle, the goats, the sheep, the camels. Everything is going to go to Esau. And the only thing he's going to keep is the land. He doesn't even own the land. But he wants Yehovah's promise because Yehovah promised him the land. This is what Jacob's like. That is what Esau's like. The man of the flesh. Don't confuse the two. The world wants the stuff. Jacob wants the promise. That's the difference between the man of the flesh and the man of the spirit. That's why we've got to supplant the man of the flesh. with the man of the Spirit. I have to do that every day. Sometimes I don't want to. But I have to do it if I want to remain Yehovah's man. Red, and Esau on the right said to Jacob, feed me from the red. Look at the red. Ha-Adam. That's Ha-Adam. Ha-Adam, Ha-Adam. Feed me from the red. The red. Ha-Adam. Why does he say it twice? The red, the same. For I am weary. Therefore his name was called Edom. The red, Ha-Adam, Ha-Adom, or Adom, Edom, Adom, Edom. You could say it like that, Edom. But it's the same words, the same letters, Aleph, Dalet, they put a Vav in there, and then the Mem. The other ones are Aleph, Dalet, Mem. Ha-Adam, Ha-Adam. Well, this reminds me of this verse. So he humbled you and allowed you to hunger and fed you the manna. The manna, Ha-man. That's manna. Fed you the manna, Ha-man, which you did not know, the bread from heaven. Nor did your fathers know, that he might make you know that the man, there it is, Ha-Adam. Oh my goodness, the red. Is it really red? Are we talking about red in this verse? I wonder. It doesn't say the red, it says red. But it's the red. The red, the red. The Adam, Ha-Adam. That you might know that the man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yehovah, the man, Ha-Adam, lives. Well, look at this. Even Edom can be spelled Adam. There it is right here, Adam. Get it, there it is, Adam. Two spellings for Edom. Oh, so interesting. There's more to this story that we don't see. No, it says, but Jacob said, sell me your birthright. Sell me your bikorah. As of this day, the birthright has to do with which son gets the double portion of their father's wealth and will lead the family. Now think about this. You know what? I don't think we give preference. Preference, is that a good word? To what Yehovah says. Remember the prophecy given to Rebekah by Shem and Eber and Abraham when she came to inquire of Yehovah through them. We'll talk about that. We said that, how does a woman inquire of Yehovah? She went to Shem and Eber and Abraham and asked them to seek Yehovah for an answer. Why am I having such problems in carrying these two boys? And Yehovah said to her, 2 peoples, 2 goyim are in your room. 2 nations shall be separated from your body. A nation from a nation shall be stronger, and the elder shall serve the younger. I put, is Jacob angling to make this prophecy a reality? Jacob hear about the prophecy from his mother? Oh, Rebekah is a wise woman. 30 years younger than Isaac. But Rebekah understands. I almost think that Rebekah has greater spiritual understanding than Isaac does. That's a shame to say that. But I just don't see that Isaac had quite what Abraham had and what Jacob is going to have. There's kind of a lull in the middle, I think. Well, it says then, sell me your birthright, your Bekorah. Sell me your birthright as of this day. And Esau said, look, I'm about to die. So what is a birthright to me? Well, this is not the truth. He knows that he's got the garments. He doesn't need the birthright anymore. What good's a birthright? Pittance. In contrast to world domination. He's got delusions of grandeur. And Jacob said, swear to me as of this day. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Oh, you're going to see there's a contract. There were witnesses involved in this. Can't see it in Torah. Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of porridge. Why? Why would a man do such a thing? I put, he had obtained Adam's garments, and he expected to rule the world. Well, now we know that there was more to this story. You know, again, you go to the commentators, and here they're calling Jacob cunning, deceitful. Oh my gosh, what foolishness. You're talking to the man, Israel, saying that he was cunning and selfish. You got to think differently. Then Jacob said, swear to me this day. So he swore to him and sold him the birthright. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate, drank, arose, and went his way. And thus, here it is right here. And thus, Esau Yavaz. Vaz. It's Baz. But in the middle, remember, it says V. The Bekorah. And Esau spoiled the birthrights. And thus Esau spoiled the birthright. The birthright. It says his birthright. They add the word his. It doesn't say his. It says the. There it is. Ha! Bekorah. The birthright. Baz. You know, they don't even use the same word. Here's the word. Spoiled. See that? BZ. Bet. Zayin is bazah. Bazah. But they use that. This is a word that has the H on it. Well, this doesn't have the hay, does it? It's just got that Zion. Means spoil. Here it is right here. This is Jeff Benner's work. Spoil. Okay, so the pictograph bet represents a house. The Zayin represents an agricultural implement, the mattocks, or a weapon. Combined, these pictographs have the meaning of a house cut or attacked. The enemy would plunder a house for goods to supply themselves as a bird of the prey attacks its prey. The house cut. Esau despised his birthright and separated himself from the house. Cut himself from the house. What is the birthright to me? Sold it with evidence. We'll see that in Yasher. This is a man of the flesh. He despises the things of the Spirit. When Jacob is learning to follow Yahovah, his statutes, his judgments, his ordinances, and to know him, Esau is in the field, hunting men on occasion. Well, let's turn to Yasher. And this is where we left off the last time we were in Yasher. So we had to read 25 because we had just finished learning about Rebecca, the extra mile girl, and the wife of Isaac. It was at that time. What time? It was at the time that Isaac took Rebecca, which was 3 years after Sarah died, that Abram took a wife, a woman, for himself. I have some question, I said it last time, about when did he actually take this woman? Is it possible he took this woman before Sarah died? I think it is. Because I don't see how you can have great-grandchildren in 30 years, 35 years. Great-grandchildren. And she bore him 6 sons. Here they are. Zimran, Yoktan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuach, being 6 sons. And Zimrad's seed were, there they are, they name them all. And Yoktan's seed were Sheba and Dedan. And Medan's seed were 5 sons. And Midian's seed were 5 also. Ishbak had 3 sons. And Shuach had 4 sons. All these are the families of, look at what it says, the children of Keturah. No, all these are the families of Keturah's seed, the Canaanitish woman. And she bore unto Abraham the Hebrew. Isn't it interesting how they are so careful, even in Yasher, not to call them his sons? These are the seed of Keturah. Ladies don't have seed. What's going on here? Why did they do this? And Abraham sent these, look at, he doesn't say sent the sons away. These and all these, not all these sons, all these men, all these. Now it says, verse 6, and Abram sent all these away. and he gave them gifts. Not portions of his inheritance. He gave them gifts. And they went away from his son Isaac to dwell wherever they could find a place. And all these, still talking about those men, went to the mountains of the east, and they built themselves 6 cities in which they dwelt unto this day. Now we're going to talk about the sons of the sons. Sheba and Dedan's seed, Yokshan's seed, with their the sons of Yoktan, with their, or the Yoktan seed with their sons, that must be what it is, Yoktan seed with their sons, did not dwell with their brethren in their cities. And they journeyed and encamped in the countries and the wilderness unto this day. And Midian's seed, and Midian, the son of Abraham's seed, went to the east, to the land of Cush. The land of Cush. Where's the land of Cush? We know that Israel, when we come back from Egypt many years from now, probably 300 years from now-ish, is going to fight with Moab and Midian. It's the princes of Midian who contact Balaam with the princes of Moab to try and get him to curse Israel. Midian's close by, but I don't know where the land of Cush is. Went to the east of the land of Cush, and they found there a large valley in the eastern country. And they remained there, built a city, and they dwelt there within, and they dwelt therein. That is the land of Midian unto this day. I wonder if this is current day I want to say Saudi Arabia, but it's Jordan, current day Jordan. That's what I think Midian is. And Midian dwelt in the city, and he built, and his 5 sons, and all belonging to him. And these were the names of Midian's seed according to their names in their cities. So if we could find where these cities are, we'd have a better idea, but I couldn't find where any of these cities are at. And so now we're going to talk about the seed of each one of those sons. Ephah, Epher, Kanak, Avidah, and Eldaah. And Ephah's seed were 1, 2, 3, 4. And Epher's seed, 1, 2, 3, 4. And Kanak seed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Avidah seed were 4. Eldaah seed were 4. These are the names of the Midianites according to their families. And afterwards, the families of Midian spread throughout the land of Midian. We're talking about, are we still talking about Keturahs? I thought we are. Yeah, we're still talking. These are all Keturahs, as they called them, Keturah's seed. These are the men who came from Keturah. Now, it says, and these are the generations of Ishmael, the son of Abraham, whom Hagar, Sarah's handmaid, her Shifka, the in-house maid, bare to Abraham. Here they called him a son of Abraham. didn't call him a seed of the concubine. And remember, he had 2 wives. Here's the first wife, the wicked one. Remember the tent peg, she had to be put away. And Ishmael took a woman from the land of Egypt, and her name was Ribah. The same is Meribah. And Reuben bore unto Ishmael 4 sons. There they are. We're going to talk about each one of those guys as sons. And look what it says. Their sister Basmath. We're going to see she's going to become the woman of Esau. Esau is going to take this woman to himself. Why did they name her? Because of that reason. Otherwise, they wouldn't name the women. Do you think out of all these guys, these sons that we just read about, that came from Keturah, that there were no daughters born? It's not about the daughters, it's about the seed. Now look what it says. And Ishmael cast away his woman Meribah, and she went from him and returned to Egypt, to the house of her father. That's where a woman goes. And she dwelt there, for she had been very bad in the sight of Ishmael, and in the sight of his father Abraham. Abraham said, put away this bad seed. Called her the tent peg. Gotta replace that tent peg, son. Got a bad one. Ishmael knew what he was talking about. And Ishmael afterwards took a woman from the land of Canaan, and her name was Melkuth. Remember, he had 4 sons from Meribah. Now he's going to get 8 sons from Melkuth. And she bore unto him Nishma, Duma, Masa, Kadad, Tamah, Yator, Naphish, and Kedma. And these are Ishmael's seed. And these are their names, being 12 princes. These 12 men, 4 from Ribah, and 8 from Melkuth, are Ishmael's seed, 12 princes, according to their peoples. I would say that would be peoples, not nations. According to their goyim. And the families of Ishmael afterwards spread forth. And Ishmael took his sons and all the property that he gained, together with the souls of his household. There's the ladies, there's the servants, there's the Amah and the Shivka, the souls of the household. That's what we see all the time in Torah. If they're going to talk about women, they're going to talk about the souls, the nefesh. We'll see that in Genesis 46. He gained together with all the souls of his household, and all belonging to him. And they went, the souls of his household belonged to him, and they went to dwell where they could find a place. And they went to dwell in the wilderness of Paran, and their dwelling was from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou cometh towards Assyria. I think it's talked about near the wilderness of Paran. Let's take a quick look at the map. I want you to see where this is. Here's the wilderness of Paran, way down here. Maybe I should zoom this out a little bit. Might help you. All right, here's the wilderness of Paran. I'm going to still go out more. Here's the wilderness of Paran. See, here's Be'er Lakai Ra'oi. Here's Beersheba, Kadesh Berea. Here's the wilderness of Paran, right here. It's right up above the Sinai Peninsula. And at the top of the Gulf of Aqaba, which is the Red Sea that we crossed right here. We're talking about this place in this area. Here's Shur. the land of Shur. Here's the Shur desert, but this is the land of Shur. So we're talking east of Shur as you go towards Assyria, which is up north. So I think we're talking about this area right in here. This is where Ishmael's seed dwelt. Okay? And Ishmael and his sons dwelt in the land. His sons. How come they don't say children? His sons dwelt in the land, and they had children born to them. No, they had sons born to them. It's about sons. And they were fruitful and increased abundantly. And these are the names of the seed, okay? We know that we're talking about sons because now we're going to talk about sons. The seed of Nebaioth. Okay, remember, 4 sons from Ribah, which was Meribah. Here they are. Nebaioth, Kedar, Adbaal, and Mibsan. Then it says, these are the families of Ribah's seed. Oh, look at that. Families of Ribah's seed. The wife of Ishmael. The wife of Ishmael. And now we're going to do the same thing for the other 8 sons. I'm not going to take you through all these. We're not going to talk about any of these sons. But these are the other 8 sons that come from Melkuth. These are the seed, Melkuth's seed. The wife, the woman of Ishmael, according to their families. All these are the families of Ishmael, according to their generations, and they dwelt in those lands wherein they had built themselves cities unto this day. But now we're going to switch gears. And Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, Abraham's woman, son of Isaac, was barren in those days. She had no offspring. And Isaac dwelt with his father in the land of Canaan. And Jehovah was with Isaac. And Arphaxad, the son of Shem, the son of Noah, died in those days, in the 48th year of the life of Isaac. Okay, so when we're talking about Rebekah being barren, how old is Rebekah when Isaac is 48? In the 48th year of the life of Isaac. And all the days of Arphaxad lived were 438 years, and he died. Well, very interesting. Remember, Isaac took Rebekah when he was 40 and she was 10. If he's now 48, that makes her 18. Always kind of work this stuff out in your mind as you go. It's going to help you learn more things. And in the 59th year of the life of Isaac, 59th years, how old is Rebekah now? She's 29. 29 years old. Rebekah, his wife, was still barren. This is another 11 years later. And Rebekah said to Isaac, "Oh, sweet Rebekah, I love this woman. Truly I have heard, my Lord, my Adonai, truly I have heard, Adonai, my master, that thy mother was barren in her days until Adonai, Abraham, my master Abraham, thy father, prayed for her, and she conceived by him." Listen to the respect that she has for her husband and for her husband's father. "Now therefore stand up, pray thou also to Elohim, and he will hear thy prayer and remember us through his mercies." And Isaac answered his wife Rebekah, his woman Rebekah, saying, "Abraham has already prayed for me to Elohim to multiply his seed." His seed, it's about men. "Now therefore this barrenness must proceed to us from thee." Hear that? She's asking her husband to pray, but he doesn't want to pray. Abraham already prayed, don't you know? This doesn't show me strength of Isaac. Gotta tell you. I put, I'm sure he's blaming her. And Rebekah said unto him, but arise now, thou also, and pray. Yeah, he prayed, but I want you to pray. That Yehovah may hear thy prayer and grant me sons. And Isaac hearkened to the words of his woman. And Isaac and his woman rose up and went to the land of Moriah to pray there and to seek Yehovah. I put, but she says, but arise now also and pray. I put, you go, girl. Now they're going to go to the land of Moriah. Why the land of Moriah? Well, I think there's a reason for this. Let's see if I can get this to come up. There it is. I think he's talking here. He's taking her. Jeez. I think he's taking her to Moriah because that is where he last heard the words of Yehovah so evidently. Remember, that's where he was going to be caught, killed, burnt up as an olah offering to Yehovah. But Yehovah gave them that ram in his place. Yehovah prevented his death. I think he's going there because he's going to take this seriously about seeking Yehovah for a son. Going to get two. And when he had reached that place, Isaac stood up and prayed to Yehovah on account of his woman because she was barren. Now, listen to Isaac's prayer. This gives me hope for Isaac. Listen to how he reminds Yehovah about what Yehovah has done and what Yehovah has promised. This is an amazing prayer. And he says, O Yehovah, Elohim of heaven and earth, whose goodness and mercy fill the earth. Thou who didst take my father from his father's house and from his birthplace. You know what? I think it's actually correct here. I put kindred. In all the other places, it's been kindred. But I think in this particular case, he has got it right. We're talking about Babylon. We're talking about Ur of the Chaldees. And didst bring him unto this land, and didst say unto him, to thy seed I will give the land. And thou didst promise him, and didst declare unto him, I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand of the sea. Now may thy words be verified. Fulfill your word. Yehovah, I need a seed for my own, which thou didst speak to my father. For thou art Yehovah, our Elohim. Our eyes are towards thee to give us seed of men. Don't want seed of women, as thou did promise us. For thou art Yehovah, our Elohim, and our eyes are directed toward thee only. Oh, bless his sweet heart. And Yehovah heard the prayer of Isaac, the son of Abraham, and Yehovah was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his woman, conceived. Well, remember what it said in Genesis. Here. Now Isaac pleaded with Yehovah for his woman, because she was barren. And Jehovah granted his plea, and Rebekah, his woman, conceived. That's what we are talking about, isn't it? And in the 7th month, after the sons struggled within her. Okay, I say sons. Why do I say sons? Because it says sons in Torah. But the children, ha-banim, struggled together within her. And she said, if all is well, why am I like this? So she went to inquire of Yehovah. How does she inquire of Yehovah? And it pained her greatly that she was wearied on account of them. And she said to the women who were then in the land, did such a thing happen to you as it has to me? And they said to her, no. And she said to them, why am I alone in this amongst all the women that were upon the earth? And she went to the land. You know what? I think Yehovah was painting her so that she would seek Yehovah for the reason why she had this pain as she carried these boys. And she said unto them, why am I alone amongst the women on the earth? And she went to the land of Moriah to seek Yehovah on account of this matter. How did she do it? And she went to Shem and Heber, his son, to make inquiries of them in this matter, and that they should seek Yehovah on this thing respecting her. And she also asked Abraham to seek and inquire of Yehovah about all that had befallen her. Oh, listen to this sweet woman. She has got understanding that few women have, especially today. But I love this gal. And they inquired of Yehovah concerning this matter. And they brought her word from Yehovah and told her. What did they tell her? I put this in red because it's kind of polluted. Here, this is what they told her. I know I've read this at least once today, maybe twice. And Yehovah said to her, 2 goyim are in your womb. 2 nations shall be separated from your body. A nation from a nation shall be stronger, and the elder shall serve the younger. This is the prophecy regarding these 2 sons. This prophecy would be important, obviously, to Jacob. Should be important to Isaac. What's up with Isaac wanting to give the blessing to Esau, the man of the flesh? Is he nuts? Is he addled? Is he going through Alzheimer's or something? What's going on? And when her days to be delivered were completed, she knelt down, and behold, there were twins in her womb, as Jehovah had spoken to her. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. And all the people of the land called his name Esau, saying, this one was made complete from the womb. And after that came his brother, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Therefore they called him Jacob. Remember, we're talking about the supplanter. All this negative stuff that gets attached to Jacob. I think because we are misunderstanding who Jacob actually is. And Isaac, the son of Abraham, was 60 years old, not 59 years old, when he begat them. If he's 59, she's how old? 30. And the boys grew up to their 15th year, and they came amongst the society of men. This is what I say. They've got, at 15 years old, the framework of a man is put together. This is pretty much what he's going to be like. Not always. They can change. but most of the personalities put together at this point. What does it say about Esau? Coming into the society of men. Esau was a designing and deceitful man, an expert hunter in the field. And Jacob, what does it say about Jacob? Was a man perfect, calm and wise, dwelling in tents, feeding flocks, and learning the instructions of Yahovah and his command and the commands of his father and mother. And Isaac and the sons of his household dwelt with his father Abraham in the land of Canaan as Elohim had commanded them. And Ishmael, the son of Abraham, went with his sons and all belonging to them, and they returned there to the land of Havilah. That's what we were just talking about. Where's the land of Havilah? And they dwelt there. And Abraham's concubine's seed, remember we're just talking about Ishmael, now we're talking about Abraham's concubine's seed, Keturah's seed, went to dwell in the land of the east, for Abraham sent them away from his son and had given them presents, and they went away. And Abraham gave all that he had to his son Isaac, and he also gave him all his treasures. This gets confusing to me because we just finished that portion of Genesis, and now we're talking about Abraham and Isaac instead of Isaac and Jacob and Esau. It gets muddled in my mind a little bit, so I've got to stay on task here. I know even as I was studying, it was like, no, wait a second. Who are we talking about again? Yeah, because these are chapters, just 2 or 3 chapters in Torah where we're talking about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob kind of simultaneously. And now we're going back and forth from the future back into the past when we go back to Yasher to catch up. So, it becomes a little challenging. And he commanded him. Who did he command? Isaac. Oh, yeah. This is really quite beautiful. This is Abraham giving a prayer or giving something to his son, giving him advice. Abraham gave all that he had to his son Isaac, and he also gave him all his treasures. And he commanded Isaac, okay? Think about this. Men, if we've come out of the world, been circumcised and entered into Jehovah's covenant through Passover, then we are this Isaac. And Abraham is speaking to us also. What does he have to say? Please listen carefully. Dost thou not know and understand? Hast thou not known? Hast thou not seen? Hast thou not heard from the beginning? Yahovah is Elohim of heaven and earth, and there is no other beside him. Here, I probably had the same verse, yeah. Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard? The everlasting. Here, the everlasting Elohim, Yahovah, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak. Yes. Remember, the weak shall lead the stronger. And to those who have no might, strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. The strength of the world, the guys who never get tired, the youth. Never stop energy. They're going to faint. And the young men, the armies of this world, the strength of this world, what does it say? Shall utterly fall. They're going to be destroyed. Don't join the army. But those who wait on Yahovah shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Oh, Yahovah, may you do that to me. I'm counting on you. Here's another verse here I want to read. You are my witnesses, says Yehovah, and my servants who I have chosen, that you may know and believe me and understand that I am He. Before me there was no Elohim formed, nor shall there be after me. No other Elohim. I, even I, am Yehovah, and besides me there is no Savior. Do you believe the words of Yehovah? Or are you going to go back to that stupid New Testament that we have been given? Don't go there. Believe the words of Yehovah. There is no other Elohim besides Him. Not Obama, not Yeshua, nor any other Elohim on this earth. And it was He who took me. Remember, He's still talking to Isaac, giving us good advice if we're His seed. And it was He who took me from my father's house and from my birthplace and gave me all the delights upon the earth, who delivered me from the counsel of the wicked, for in Him I did trust. In Yehovah I did trust. What's the counsel of the wicked? The Obamas of this world, the governors, the legislatures, the Elohim of this world. And He brought me to this place. What place? The land of Canaan. And He delivered me from Kasdim. There's the Kasdim. That's where He was born. And He said to me, to thy seed I will give all these lands, and they shall inherit them, and they shall keep my commandments. My commandments. Oh, I love that. My commandments. Not their commandments. My commandments. My statutes. My judgments that I commanded thee, and which I shall command them. Now therefore, my son, hearken to the voice. Hearken to my voice. I should highlight or underline that too. And keep the commandments of Yehovah, thy Elohim, which I commanded thee. Do not turn from the right way, either to the right or to the left, in order that it may be well with thee and thy seed after thee forever. Could be sons. I'm guessing seed. Descendants, seed. It's probably Zerah. Thy seed forever after thee. And remember the wonderful works of Yehovah. Yes, you know what? That's why we have the Torah, so we can remember the wonderful works of Yehovah and His kindness that He has shown toward us in having delivered us from the hands of our enemies. And Yehovah, our Elohim, caused them to fall into our hands. Yes, yes, yes. Remember, talking about the 800,000 men. That's what He's talking about. Delivered us from the hands of our enemies. 800,000 men came from the north. Took Lot and his family. He went after him. Killed 800,000 men. Didn't lose any. But He could just as easily be talking here. I'm going to slide this over. But He could just as easily be talking with the 144,000 and those who have joined them. This is what we're talking about. This is all shadow pictures. Remember, what has been will be done again. Or what has been done will be done again. What has been will be again. There's nothing new under the sun. And serve none besides Him, in order that it may be well with thee and thy seed after thee. And teach. He's still talking to Isaac. And teach thy sons and thy seed the instructions of Yehovah and His commandments, and teach them the upright way. Who are we teaching? Our sons, our seed. Teach them the upright way in which they should go in order that it may be well with them forever. Look what it says in Deuteronomy. You know, we just don't see this because it gets covered up. It gets hidden. So this is Deuteronomy 6. Now this is the commandment, and these are the statutes and the judgments which Jehovah, your Elohim, has commanded to teach you, that you may observe them in the land that you are crossing over to possess, that you may fear Jehovah, your Elohim, and keep all his statutes, his commandments, as I commanded you. You and your son and your grandson. They put children's and your children's children. No, it says you and your son and your grandson. We're teaching it to the men. All the days of your life, that your days may be prolonged. Therefore hear, O Israel, the Ezra men, and be careful to observe it, that it may be well with you, that you may multiply greatly, as Jehovah Elohim of your fathers has promised you, not your mothers, a land flowing with milk and honey. Now, here's the Shema. Hear, O Israel, Jehovah our Elohim, Jehovah is first. You shall love Jehovah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. Your lavav, your nefesh, and your me'od. Me'od is the things that we do that are in accordance with Jehovah's word. Those are the actions of our faith. And these words, which I command you today, shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your sons. Benim. And you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. These are what Abraham is telling Isaac to remember to do. And teach thou thy sons and thy seed the instructions of Jehovah and his commandments, and teach them the upright way in which they should go, in order that it may be well with them forever. If it's well for them, it's going to be well for their women and their daughters and their servants and the ger who dwell with them. And Isaac answered his father and said unto him, that which my master, that which Adonai has commanded, that I will do. And I will not depart from the commands of Jehovah my Elohim. I will keep all that he commanded me. And Abraham blessed his son Isaac, and also his sons. And Abraham taught Jacob the instruction of Jehovah and his ways. It was at that time that Abraham died, the 15th year of the life of Jacob and Esau, the sons of Isaac. Isaac's seed is really what it says, since they put the of. And all the days of Abraham were 175 years, and he died and was gathered to his people in a good old age, old and satisfied with days. And Isaac and Ishmael his son buried him. And when the inhabitants of Canaan heard that Abraham was dead, they all came with their kings and princes. Hear this. Abraham was well respected among the Canaanites. Jacob is also going to be very well respected among the Canaanites. And all their men to bury Abraham. And the inhabitants of the land of Haran. Here's his what would they be? His nephews. And his nephews' seeds coming to his memorial, his burial. And all the inhabitants of the land of Haran, and all the families of Abraham's house, and all the princes and grandees, the concubines, Abraham's concubines' sons, all came when they heard of Abraham's death. And they requited Abraham's kindness, and comforted Isaac, his son. And they buried Abraham in the cave which he bought from Ephron the Hittite, and his seed for a possession of the burial place. And all the inhabitants of Canaan and all who had known Abraham wept for Abraham a whole year. And the men and women, look at that, men and women, now they're going to say women, mourned for him. There's the women. If they're going to talk about women, they're going to tell you it's women. And all the little children. Here's little children. This is tough. Okay, if we're going to talk about children, we're going to talk about tough. These are tough. All the tough. The little children. They're translating it from the word tough. It has to be. And all the inhabitants of the land went on account of Abraham. For Abraham had been good to them all, and because he was upright with Elohim and men. And there arose not a man who feared Elohim like Abraham, for he had feared his Elohim from his youth, yes, 3 years old. And he served Yehovah and had gone in all his ways during his life, from his childhood to the day of his death. And Yehovah was with him and delivered him from the counsel of Nimrod and his people, and made him war with the 4 kings of Elam. He conquered them, that's the 800,000. And he brought all the earth's seed to the service of Elohim. Well, all that would go anyway. And he taught them the ways of Yehovah. Oh, there it is again. Look at. And he taught them the ways of Yehovah and caused them to know Yehovah. That's our goal, to learn the ways of Yehovah and to know him. And he formed a grove and he planted a vineyard. Oh, we saw this too. Therefore he had always prepared in his tent meat and drink for those who passed through the land, that they might satisfy themselves in his house. And Yehovah Elohim delivered the whole earth on account of Abraham. Oh, good, we're going to finish it at perfect time. And it was after the death of Abraham that Elohim blessed his son Isaac and his sons, his son Isaac and his sons. And Yehovah was with Isaac as he had been with his father Abraham. For Isaac kept the commandments of Yehovah as Abraham, his father, had commanded him. He did not turn to the right or to the left from the right path which his father had commanded him. Well, next week we're going to hear what Yasher has to say about Esau. What happened with this supposed wickedness of Jacob? Oh, it just makes me so angry when they talk that way about Jacob, the man of the spirit. And they make this wicked Esau look like a good guy. Oh, it drives me nuts. Well, we'll talk about it next week. Thank you very much for joining me. Father, please give us eyes to see. Help us to understand the difference between our flesh and the spirit that can rule our flesh, can supplant our flesh, and direct us in the way that leads to life. Oh, Father, I want to have that abundant life in my life, and I want to help others experience the same. Please teach us, give us willing hearts. We love you so much. All right, well, thanks for joining me. We'll see you again next week. Bye, y'all.